Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to Northwest Unitarian Universalist. I'm Cheryl. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm your worship associate for this morning's service. According to the COVID Act Now website, the Detroit metro region is currently in the low community risk level category. Therefore, we'll have communal singing this morning, and masks are optional at this time. Today's guest speaker is United States Representative Rashida Tlaib, who is a well-known progressive warrior and, in her own words, quote, a mother working for justice for all. Rashida made history in 2008 by becoming the first Muslim woman to ever serve in the Michigan Legislature. She's currently Congresswoman for Michigan's 12th Congressional District, which includes the city of Detroit and many of the surrounding communities, including here at Northwest UU. If you are a visitor online and you'd like Northwest to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor form that you will see in the chat box. If you're with us in person, you can fill out the visitor sign-in form in the atrium. Please greet your neighbors now with a wave from wherever you are, whether you're here with us online or here in person. Oh, that's great. We have such a full house. And then, before Alex starts the prelude, let's all take a deep breath and settle into a time of worship. Our service today with a land acknowledgement. This land, the hills, woods, and rivers, is the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabeg, Three Fires Confederacy, the Odawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi. Northwest UU congregation acknowledges the injustice of the theft of this land and the continuing presence despite attempts at the annihilation of the indigenous people of this place. And we pledge ourselves to justice and repair both with the land and its people. We light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, knowing this morning that many other Unitarian Universalist congregations across this land and around the world are doing the same. We light our chalice with words by the Reverend Marta I. Valentin. Spirit of truth and justice, hear us as we ask that you hold the collective anxiety that permeates this community today. This is a call to arms. Arms that will hold those with broken or elated hearts, arms that wrap themselves around beaten bodies, battered souls, arms stronger than either giver or receiver knows. Arms that keep the weight of misplaced authority and righteousness from crashing down upon those struggling to hold their head high as each shred of dignity is yanked from their tired, overused, and underappreciated bodies. This is a call for committed arms and minds and hearts that know the facts but feel the truth. A call to remember that the freedom we've been given to swing our arms as wide and open to the sun as we like has come on the backs of human beings others wish were invisible. This is a call to arm ourselves with facts and feel the truth, born out of the power of our Unitarian Universalist love and the balance of justice.
Good morning. I'm Sierra Pressberry. I'll be reading A Place Inside of Me, a poem to heal the heart by Zetta Elliott, illustrated by Noah Denman. There is a place inside of me, a space deep down inside of me where all my feelings hide. They wait there in the darkness, a knot of electric motion, seething, sizzling, burning, until I find the strength to reach inside. There is joy inside of me, a happiness deep down inside of me that glows bright and warm as the sun and shines delight on everything I see. There is sorrow inside of me, a sadness deep down inside of me that is cold and dark as a watery grave at the bottom of the sea. There is fear inside of me, a terror deep down inside of me that stalks me like a sinister shadow and seeps like poison into my dreams. There is anger inside of me, a fury deep down inside of me that is sharp enough to slice through air, flesh, bone, and concrete. And yet, there is hunger inside of me, a yearning deep down inside of me that refuses to be silenced or bound with chains and insists on being free. There is pride inside of me, no shame deep down inside of me, for I know how long and hard we have struggled, and against all odds, my people have emerged strong, triumphant, and beautiful. There is peace inside of me, a calm deep down inside of me that flows through my soul like a tranquil stream and hushes my whispering doubts. There is compassion inside of me, a tenderness deep down inside of me that tries to heal the wounds of the past and to forgive in spite of the lingering pain. There is still hope inside of me, a promise deep down inside of me that I will use my life to help others and they will help me in return. For there is love inside of me, true love deep down inside of me. I am in love with my people, all people, plus trees, sparrows, sunlight, and the rain that falls like a blessing from above. And when I look inside of me, to that place deep down inside of me, I remember to love myself most of all. And now the choir will sing Show Us How to Love.
Now our children and their teachers will be leaving the service and joining in affinity groups in the nursery if you are pre-K and elementary, and in the room B if you are middle and high school. And we will be sending them along with the chalice. And Brooklyn, you can come on up. I'm going to give you a chalice from our sanctuary. And you can rise and join us by singing the children's blessing.
One purpose of a religious community is to encourage all who gather together to grow more generous in spirit and action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will mutually support this self-supporting congregation and the shared plate recipient. The Social Justice Committee has selected the Ruth Ellis Center as February's 50% shared plate collection recipient. Ruth Ellis Center is the only mission-specific agency in the Midwest dedicated to at-risk lesbian, gay, bi-attractional, transgender, and questioning LGBTQ youth. If you would like to donate, you can do so in a variety of ways that are now visible on your screen. For those in person, we will also pass a collection basket for checks and cash.
Morning, I'm Julie, and this is a round, but don't worry, we got this. Some of us are very experienced with this, and I will be out there helping you, and also we have choir members in each section. Raise your hands, choir members. They'll be singing really loud, right? Okay, so, so when Alex starts playing the piano, we're all going to sing all 4 lines first. Then, this front half section is going to sing the first entrance. The back section over here, is going to sing the next one. The back section over there is going to sing the third one. And this front section over here will sing the fourth one. Don't worry, we can do this.
We'll sing it through twice, sing it through once together, and then twice as a round. Okay. I believe in you guys.
Nice. The reading for today is by Reverend Teresa I. Soto, America, Is This Freedom? The days we are in are not unprecedented entirely. America has been unjust before, has ignored both its laws and what higher law the soul consents, that each person is a human, as a human. It turns out that their life and their body belongs expressly to them. Huh. Side comment. That is, if they come for my queer body, I will resist. For totalitarianism to thrive, there must be an enemy created. We have watched as queers, as trans, as non-binary folk, and our black and brown neighbors and workers have been made into the wanted poster, unwanted faces. The mild reaction of many people I would have trusted communicates clearly that they see no danger and that I should wait until it gets bad. America, your sickness makes me sit and weep. We will rise, of course, but will it be enough? The babies are already in cages. Is that not your alarm? Are you not awake, bolt upright? Your trans kin are stuck, struggling to navigate systems that actively exert the power to define them out of existence, to deny travel documents and health care. America, is this freedom? Who is free? All is not lost, but some is gone. That part of society that could assume that being decent was enough of an expectation to keep us civil is discovering that, disconnected from values, any practice can be destructive. The time to politely look away has, though cruelty is merely somewhat impolite, expired some time back. We must get free. Do something to be faithful. Do something to interrupt evil. Do not wait. Do it now. The time we have left for collecting courage and dealing in compassion is not unlimited. But this is still your day. Move into it in your power and your love. And now we will have Rashida Tlaib join us.
Us on. All right, so let's see. We've opted to do this sermon as a more of a dialogue, question and answer format because I'm good friends with Rashida, and I'm so happy to have the chance to see her 2 days in a row. I got to see her yesterday at our Michigan Democratic Convention, and now I get to see her again today. So although I know you, and I've had the pleasure of spending many years with you, take us a little bit on your personal journey. Introduce yourself to the folks of this congregation and tell us how you got to being where you are.
Yeah, so I'll tell you something that you don't sometimes read in the bio or be gaslighted by Fox News, which I'm sure people here don't watch at all. But so many of you know I was born and raised in Southwest Detroit, and you know that I'm Palestinian American. Both my parents were born in Palestine. What you might not know is, so my mom went up to about 8th grade education, my dad up to 4th grade. And about when he was 9 or 10, because of the depression and everything, my grandmother at the time, she decided to go meet up with her sister, Rashida, who I was named after, in Nicaragua. So my dad, part of his life was in Palestine, right into Jerusalem, and then ended up in Nicaragua, and then at 19 years old came to the United States. My mom, 8th grade, pretty much grew up all her life in Palestine in the West Bank, and she was pregnant with me on the airplane to the United States. So I think my Palestinian family that are still there, like she was put together or whatever you want to, yeah, or made in Palestine. But one of the things that I love about this is that, you know, I didn't speak English when I started school. My dad worked at 19 years old. He was basically somebody that you probably ran into in the 70s in the corner that said, you know, which watch do you want? He was that guy. He hustled and
they were all real, of course.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I didn't really get into it. He said he did perfumes too. I mean, he was that guy, and that's probably was watered down. Who knows? But one of the that's what he did growing up in Nicaragua with my grandmother who worked in the flea markets, or what we call in Arabic the souk. And so when he got here, his father was already here. My grandparents weren't together. And he finally got this job at Ford Motor Company in Flat Rock, Michigan. And it was the first time he ever got like a paper check. He said he still remembers it. He was like, what is it? Like, the paper, I mean, just people don't understand, like he just made a living from just cash or whatever. And so it was the first time he got like a paper check, and it was like, I don't know why, it was just like this moment where he was given this check and all of these things, and it was the first time really he felt a sense of human dignity, ironically. And so when he married my mom at 20, he was basically forced to go back to Palestine to marry a good Palestinian woman, because my grandmother, even though her name was Shama, which means candle, like she was more of a fireball. And so she sends him back she goes, come on, let's go. She actually went with him. And he saw my mom on a bus. And he kind of stayed on the bus to see where she got stopped off. No, it's a real story. Because I said, how'd you meet Mom? And this is the story. And he liked how she looked. And my dad wasn't very shy, but he waited to see where she got dropped off. And then 2 weeks later, they were married.
Whirlwind romance.
Yes. So she came to the United States. They settled in Southwest Detroit. They were in the south end of Dearborn, actually, for a little while. That's where my grandmother settled, right there in the shadows of the Rouge plant. And then the first time they started renting was in Southwest, and their first home was in Southwest. I think I wasn't even 2 yet. And so, my dad worked the night shift, so he slept during the day, and so when I started school, I didn't speak English at all. My mom said that I could, I don't know if I told you that, I could sing, do you guys remember The Love Boat? Oh, yeah. I could sing the Love Boat theme song. That's what my mom said.
That was your English.
Yeah, I could sing that. I loved it, and I loved that show. I remember still as a little kid just watching the show all the time. I had one of those TVs that were like, also like a table. It was like the wood around, I'm talking about the old style, yeah. But going forward, I mean, I just want, I grew up, I'm the eldest of 14. For a long time it was 6 of us, then it was 9 of us, and then boom, it was 14 of us. Very protective, kind of mama bear type, because I was my mom's translator until I was 12. And I still remember to this day going into the Sears, for those that remember Sears, it was a department store. Sears and Lincoln Park is my last story, but in Lincoln Park we went in, and of course if you're a child of immigrants in the room, you would know that everybody's experienced this, but you go up to the cashier, my mom has the Sears whatever coupon thing that she has, and she's asking me to ask the teller a bunch of stuff about if she uses this or whatever. And typical moment with my mom, it wasn't anything uncommon. But the cashier kind of, started making a remark to me, a 12-year-old. She needs to learn English. Yeah. Well, I think at that moment something sparked in me, and of course the Southwest Detroit girl, because my head started swaying, and I was like, "Excuse me," but my mom's not asking me to translate what you're saying to her. She's only asking me to translate what she wants to say to you, because people like you are the reason that she won't speak English, because you make fun or you yell louder, And of course my mom leaves the clothes on the counter and literally is like, come on. And how parents, when they're mad, they just hold half of your clothes. And so she pulls me out of Sears in Arabic and says to me, we can never come to this Sears again because of you. And she goes, you, out of all the kids, are my troublemaker. You, I don't know why it's you. Fast forward, it was 2016, and you know who was running. And it was the first time they weren't going to let us ask questions at the economic club, whatever, gathering at then Kilcobo, which is now Huntington Place. And, everybody sees the famous video, but you guys have no idea what happened afterwards. So my mom, thank God, she doesn't watch CNN. She's not on Twitter, thank God. And so, I fast forward. So I'm sitting there. I get called from an organization called Michigan United. Some of you may know them. And they were like, we're going to get a bunch of women. We're going to go in there. We're going to ask questions, because they're not letting us ask questions. Of course, a member of the Economic Club gave us the tickets, right? Yeah. So we get
You were
in
there legitimately.
Yeah, I was. I was just trying to tell you I wasn't trespassing or anything. And so I go and one by one, every 2 minutes, somebody's interrupting. I was the seventh person, the seventh woman. And I get up, because I was watching. And so Secret Service was literally pulling the women out. It was the people in the audience who were dressed in suits, very professional. I mean, you would think, you're coming to a board meeting, a shareholders meeting or something. They were pulling on the girls' hairs. They kicked them. I watched. So I was mentally like, oh my God, I wasn't actually shocked. I didn't know if I should just, so other people, it was awful to watch. And if you look at the videos, don't look at just mine, that they keep running. Look at it. There's a full video out there of all of it, and you can see how awful it was. And these were young women, younger than me. And so I'm like, have you ever read the United States Constitution? You need to read the United States Constitution. And I'm loud, and he never stopped his speech during any other question except mine. No, really, I yelled that loud. And he says something about Bernie. I don't know how he knew, I don't know. He just yelled something about Bernie. And then of course, I guess I got to be able to ask him like 4 times before Secret Service got me, because you can see me kind of in the road, like avoid,
Dodging,
you can
diving.
see it, you can see it. And this is so funny though. I'm sorry, I know you have more questions, but so I get hauled out by Secret Service, and like a bunch of them just grab me, and you can see me just, and I'm smiling, like, you've never taken my joy away. This is the most democratic thing I could ever do, is use my voice and all these things, right? So I get out, and as soon as I get out, they're like, they just take your name. They didn't really detain me or anything. They just took my name and let us go. So my brother calls me. Rashid. There's a Rashid, and a Rashida in my family. So Rashid calls me, and he's like, yo, Mom, Yumma's mom. He's like, Yumma is upset. She's like, Rashida's in jail. They took Rashida in jail. They just arrested her. What is she doing down there? What is she doing? And then, and I'm like, oh my God, how did she see it? Oh, her friend showed her or something like that. Literally within minutes. It was my brother Rashid. Later on, I find out he's at the bank. He looks up on CNN. CNN was on screen live, and he sees me. He calls my mom right away and says, Rashida, it was my brother. Because I know she don't watch CNN. So my sister Layla calls me. She's like, Mom's crying. She's really upset, Rashida. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what to do, Layla. Like, I'm not, like, it's fine. Like, and she goes, I know, but she's really upset. I don't know. Weird. Like, she's like livid. Like, she's calling every single sibling. So finally my mom calls me, and she's like, hey, and she's like, like that. And I was like, hey, Mama, yeah, And I was like, she's like, in Arabic, she's like, you're in jail? Are you in jail? I was like, Mom, how am I in jail if I'm answering my cell phone? And then she's like, out of all your brothers and sisters, you are the troublemaker. You, there's an Arabic word for it. You, out of everybody, trouble, all the time, out of all your brothers and sisters. And I said, Mom, this is the most American thing I could do. He wants to be president of the United States. He wants to ban Muslims. I have to speak up. I have to say something, blah, blah, blah. She hangs up the phone in my face. It did not take her until she went on Friday for Muslim prayers, Jumu'ah prayer. She goes on Friday. And of course she comes in, and everybody, all her friends are like, MashaAllah. Means God bless. Oh my God, you raised a tough daughter. She's so amazing. MashaAllah. And Layla goes, Mom's head just went higher, like, as she's walking through the mosque. And she's just like, and I was like, everybody was like, wow, she's just, good for her. He can't sit there and say what he said, Long story short, she calls me on Saturday, and I was like, hey, Mama, you're not mad at me no more? And she's like, no, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud. So it took all of her friends to be like, that's pretty cool, for her to be like, it's okay. But I've been, and this describes just who I am. Honestly, you can come after me anytime, any day. You come after my community, come after my family, come after things that are important, I think, just for us to have love and peace in our communities. The mama bear in me comes out, and this warrior comes out. And so that's the part that you won't see, because they'll grab the angry part where I'm just angry, but they won't talk about all the part of how it reached to that point of why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Or why I'm doing civil disobedience, why I'm speaking the way I'm speaking. Why is there anger and this passion that kind of comes out? And people will call you lightning rod as a woman like myself. They'll call you all these things, but at the end, those are words they disguise for the fact that I am speaking truth. And so it is something just, again, that's not going to always be in my bio. But you can see I grew up, again, the protector of my mother, the protector of my brothers and sisters, and then later now the protector of the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've come to know you because of the national fame, but that hasn't been the thing driving you to be this activist, right? You've been helping out the community since you've been here, right? I got to know you before you ran for U.S. House, after you had served in the Michigan House, but when you're working at the Sugar Law Center and doing some really great community justice work, right? Really helping make sure the people of Southwest Detroit have clean air to breathe. Aren't dealing, I mean, they are still dealing with it, but not as much. We brought attention to that problem. And I think it's really cool for us now here at Northwest to be part of your district.
Yeah.
I think the shuffle up has been a little strange,
You
but
should see when I door knock. They're like, what are you doing here?
why are you here?
Yeah, because redistricting was confusing.
Can you remind me what the new district looks like? It's like, it's a weird straight up,
so
right?
it's still about 60% of my past district, which is majority like Western Wayne. So I'll start with, so it's Northwest Detroit, and then it goes into Oakland County. It has, of course, all of Southfield, all of Lathrop Village, Franklin, Beverly Hills, and Bingham Farms. And you'll hear me say Southfield Township as well, which includes Beverly Hills, Bingham Farms, and Franklin, in a small portion of folks. So then it shoots up into what we call Western Wayne, which is Livonia, Dearborn, Westland, Inkster, Redford Township, Garden City. And so that is, and it's pretty now square. It used to be kind of an upside down J. But I know not everybody was happy with it. And it's just so you know, some communities now have, 3 or 4 state representatives versus just 1 or 2, which people haven't been too happy about in the way they split up certain communities. Like my district, actually, one of the lines in Detroit is a side street next to Marygrove College. It's called Green Lawn. That's the cutoff. It's not like, like Schaefer or
A big
Meyer.
road. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's
kind of
just
tight.
it is technically a residential street. And they're all part of like a block club, and they're like, now they have to.
different.
And I say, look at it more as now you have 2 people speaking for, uplifting issues in your community.
That's true. Southfield, I think, has 3. Yeah, I'll look over to my Southfield Dem Club guys, so I know those answers. Some things, we have a pretty engaged, I would like to think we have a pretty engaged congregation here. Some of the things that we do, we make sure we vote, we make sure we contact our legislatures. Can you tell us of other community organizations or causes that we can get outside of the church to help support?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're going to see the ones from like the larger ones. Even when you think of Black Lives Matter movement, look at Movement for Black Lives. It's an organization really made up and founded by mothers who lost their children to police violence. And Movement for Black Lives is pushing, things like Breathe Act, talking about responders approach, kind of like a Peace Corps, but for like mental health specific. They're really thoughtful, and these are folks that it took years. I mean, this is before people were chanting Black Lives Matter. It was years before even when folks started saying Black Lives Matter, you saw people, including Democrats alike, were just, you see this, they literally had like memos out, stay away, all lives matter, don't do it. And they would literally like cross the street if they see, so they were coming out of that form where now it's kind of, at a point where now you can't even, everybody's got the sign and the stickers and out there. And their whole thing is, it's great, but please know that what does it really truly mean in action, not just the words, and not to be able to just chant it. And so Movement for Black Lives has just been incredible. I can tell you, I brought them to do to basically do kind of a briefing for the Congressional Progressive Caucus, because even they weren't pushing hard enough, and it was transformative. People were like, wow, I get it now. Because when you hear it through that lens, or because it's sad, but they have a way to humanize what the issue's really about versus these other things where, in DC it's so easy to try to isolate it. It's more of a transaction, or I don't know how to explain it until you can experience it. I mean, I looked from afar, but now that I'm in there, I cannot believe how transactional it is, and also how, for me, implementation matters. It's not like how it looks on a press release, but like how does it look in the community? Yeah. And so it's definitely an organization to really try to look into. And their type, they travel, they come, they talk all different groups. They would love to be even zoomed in if you wanted
Yeah,
them to.
we definitely have, I mean, one of the reasons why we have the
Yeah.
screens is for those Zoom
Yeah, but Movement for
speakers.
Black Lives are the people directly impacted by us doing nothing. So it'll be good to bring them in and people that have been impacted directly.
Turn that down. Some feedback there.
I want one of those. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy with the tech setup here. So I think you kind of talk a little bit about some of the issues that you've had to face in Washington. Let's talk a little about some of the accomplishments and the achievement that you're hoping to push through this Justice for All Act.
Yeah.
I know the thing that struck me was the focus on discriminatory impact versus
Yeah.
the intent, and that's something
the
that
lawyer in
it's the
me.
lawyer in me
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
thing that
I'll
I
tell them
initially
about it,
yeah.
'cause
So that's
I'll
something
let
that
you- yeah.
I understand, but
Yeah.
yeah. if you
So
can
I just
explain
want you to
that.
know, so my first term, it's very rare for a new member to get a bill passed. So I got this bill passed, this consumer protection bill. Of course, the protector comes out of me. But we couldn't go after people that were defrauding some of my seniors. We could do it for Social Security, but not regular retirement funds. Literally, Department of Justice had no way to go after folks that were scheming retirement funds under the same act. So we expanded it to include all retirement funds, not just Social Security and disability. And it was the first bill I passed. I actually worked with, God rest his soul, Chairman of my oversight committee, Elijah Cummings. And I got that bill passed, and actually the previous president I impeached twice, 3 times, whatever.
Not enough.
Yeah, but he actually signed the bill into law because people are like, oh, you can get things done if you're tenacious and you're determined and you work on those other relationships that can get it done. It can happen if you just don't give up. But we got that bill passed. It's because I always joke and tell people when we got that done, they're like, you got a bill passed? I said, oh yeah, and he signed it, but I didn't get invited to the White House for the signing. But I didn't. But that's okay. I mean, it's not about those photos as much as about actually getting them to law. So Department of Justice now can seek out, especially because a lot of the impact on retirement is coming from outside of our country where a lot of folks are getting targeted. So fast forward, this started a conversation though, honestly, around Justice for All was around auto insurance emergency managers and what happened to Flint. And so when I was working at Sugar Law Center with Alex, one of the things that we were just so incredibly frustrated is because everybody says, well, we have civil rights, let's file the case under Civil Rights Act. People don't realize there's case law out there, like cases that were literally now are in the books that are used as a way to not bring up case. So basically it watered down the true intent of what the Civil Rights Act should be. And one of those things is, you have to show intentional discrimination. Okay, check. But you also could have, and this is the intent of many, many folks during the Civil Rights Movement, from the ones you constantly get people quoting and everything, was disparate impact. Because it's not like we're gonna always find an email that says, do this to Black folks, do this to people from native, a foreign country or whatever, because we have Wells Fargo who said if anybody comes in with the accent, literally, give them a higher interest rate. This stuff really does happen, y'all. And they got sued, of course, they settle out of court, right? So then we never actually truly get justice because they, wait 10 years, they might do it again, or maybe they're doing it again. The point is, disparate impacts is so important because when the auto insurance issue came up, one of the things to know is, is it intentional discrimination? I mean, to us, it feels like it. Yeah. But you should know when the person's asking you for your marital status, your education level, that's what they're asking. They're asking, obviously, where you live, right? And they're looking up your credit score. All non-driving factors. Yeah. All of it. It's non-driving factors. Instead, like, Cheryl, like, if you're going to call me, I want to know, how far are you going to drive? Do you have a good driving record? All these things. University of Michigan did a great study. They did this study, it was amazing, because they wanted to look at the cycle of poverty. And they said auto insurance is one of the main pointers and ways that people are actually staying in the poverty, because 90% of the zip codes in Michigan are unaffordable car insurance, 90%. And so, when they did the study, they looked at somebody, he had a DUI, drinking under the influence violation, a pretty good credit score, where a person who had a great driving history, amazing driving history, no issues, but he had a lower credit score. This person with the lower credit score was paying 3 times higher than the person with the higher credit score
and the DUI.
And the DUI. So that's disparate. I mean, the impact of those policies the disparate impact, the actual implementation of those policies is actually in fact discriminating against certain communities.
Even though it doesn't say it's discriminatory
Yeah.
on the face,
Yeah.
it has that
And so
impact.
Justice for All Civil Rights Act was first introduced, well, it wasn't called that, but it was basically bringing in just disparate impact, was John Lewis and Ted Kennedy. Both Representative John Lewis and Senator Ted Kennedy had introduced it in 2008. It didn't go far because I'll tell you, advocates, and you hear this, people are so scared to open up the Civil Rights Act because they're worried that people are going to go mess it up even more. Well, case law has already done it. People are bringing up cases and corporations that have a lot more money than many community groups, many nonprofit legal groups, and they're fighting it, and even state agencies, others that fight back on these folks that continue to try to come up with these case laws that, prevent you from private right of action, say that, oh, federal and state agencies are immune, or, all of this to say that when you do bring a claim, that's what happens. So Sugar Law Center tried to take the issue around emergency manager and what happened to Flint to the Supreme Court. And we continue to keep getting kicked out. Even through all of, I think we had a really good, decent argument, but again, it comes down to the fact that there's other case law that they're depending on that has nothing to do, again, with the legislative intent at the time that Congress passed it and the advocates that worked on it intended it for. And so now, even though we all saw emergency managers were implemented primarily in communities of color and taking people's self-determination, their right to vote, all of those things, these claims that we continue to push forward. And it's because the Civil Rights Act, again, is not as it was intended. And so Justice for All Civil Rights Act was introduced. I'm doing it with Congresswoman Cori Bush and Congresswoman Summer Lee. And, we're getting a lot of interest now around, it's mostly like academic people and professors that teach law or teach these kinds of issues are like excited about it. And people like Sam Bagenstas, Bill Goodman, Julie Hurwitz, and these are all like National Lawyers Guild people. That's why National Lawyers Guild is one of the biggest endorsers and supporters of it, who have said finally, somebody's going to have this conversation, because I hear it with folks that are fighting around inequities in education, folks that are fighting all these kinds of issues that things are happening to workers, and they're like, where's our civil rights? We have civil rights, and not realizing these claims are really hard to win now, because in many ways, when we weren't looking, conservative folks stacked the courts to the point where, again, it may not be a law passed through Congress, but these case laws are as harmful.
Yeah, and I think being able to kind of reverse the effects of this case law by introducing new legislation is absolutely the way to do it. We're a little bit over time, so I'm just going to finish with,
I talked too much.
Don't ever apologize, Rashida. I am always happy to spend more time talking with you. Our theme this month as a congregation is love.
I see that.
And so you've talked a little bit about, I really love the picture that we got at the front of the order of service and everything.
Yeah, I sent it to my kids.
So you talked a little bit about, bringing that mama bear energy, but what does love mean to you, and how else do you bring it to Congress?
I mean, it's like truly seeing every single of my neighbors. I don't know how to explain it. So, especially because I think a majority of my neighbors honestly struggle with mental health, struggle with all kinds of issues they're not telling you, but I can see it. I'm empath, so I can sometimes feel it. But to me, love is truly hearing and seeing people fully, and not, because I see it happening. It's not just other members of Congress, other people. I see it in neighbors doing it, kind of dismissing.
Yeah.
Or even when somebody's angry or questioning, or, just at a moment where they're, something's going, of course, is giving grace and being thoughtful of how to approach all of this. But to me, love is like really seeing the person and the humanity in everybody. I really think, cause it gives me peace, because because we always make things the way people react about us. And not like, no, they're going through something else is happening.
Something's going on with them to make them react that way.
So love is like really giving people grace, but also just like fully seeing people and understanding. I mean, I know my therapist tells me I can't fix everything. And I know that, and I can't fix everyone's life, but I can fix the fact that they might feel unseen. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us.
You.
It has just been absolutely great.
Thank you. I have some of these flyers in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I have flyers, Justice for All, they're in the back, if you'd like to join. We are trying to gain more residential support to get other organizations like ACLU and others to join on the Justice for All. Thank you.
We'll now sing hymn number 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. You're invited to rise in body or spirit as you're willing and able. Today's Chalice Extinguishing, Let It Be Done by Reverend Monica Cummings. By extinguishing this flame, we pause as individuals and as a collective community to remember to regularly return to gratitude and joy, reminded that the work we do should be spiritually fulfilling. Dear unknown, unknowable, yet known by many names, keep us mindful that we are all related, that when one of us is ignored and treated with dis-ease, we all suffer. Today, let us each commit to welcome the stranger. Let us move beyond our comfort zones and connect with people labeled different and push to the edges of society. We can make a difference. We can transform lives. We can bring harmony and healing to the places and spaces where we live, work, and play. Let us keep our hearts and minds open and receptive to the still, small voice that calls us to stand witness for those who cannot stand, to speak the truth for justice and for those without a voice, and to lead the way on the journey toward wholeness for those without sight. In the spirit of love, compassion, and community, let it be done. Blessed be. We have a few announcements to share, and then there's more information that you can find about Northwest and events in our weekly newsletter and on our website at northwestuu.org. So today, after the service, which we're now ending, coffee hour is hosted by the membership committee, by the worship team, and by the Social Justice Committee in the multipurpose room right down the hall. Please join us for fellowship, food, and fun. And on your way out, pick up a little token of love gift bag on your way after you get a piece of cake. The 2023 and 2024 canvas is coming up, and as part of our new aspirational covenant, this year's theme for the canvas is lift one another and the congregation as a whole. Mark your calendars for March 5th, Sunday, March 5th. We're going to kick off the pledge drive at that time. Peter Gable will give a memorable sermon. I'm told. We'll have special food at that coffee hour. We'll have a photo booth there on that day to capture take-home photos for you and your family. And we'll start on our goal of financing a full-time settled minister. We hope to lift your spirits and brighten your day. And that will conclude our service. And